Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Girish Kumar Patel, and I'm Registered Migration Agent working at Aussizz Group Clayton. Uh, Today's live session is all about for subclass 408 visa. So we're going to talk about the subclass 408 visa. I'm going to start the presentations. Now, as everyone knows, and since we are been hitting through the COVID-19 pandemic, the government has introduced this visa. Those who could not able to leave the country and those who were working in the critical sectors, the government has started this endorse event visa, the COVID-19 pandemic visa, to 1.5 years ago, near about in after July 2020, and this visa is basically for those applicants during those time, those who could not able to leave the country and those who were working in critical sector, they were able to make these applications. But this year in after January, Feb 2022, after January to Feb 2022, the government has started to give the COVID visa for those who are working in a non-critical sector as well. So we're going to talk about the subclass 408 visa, how this visa can help you to extend your time frame in Australia, where you can get permanent visa. You can find more options to get permanent visa. So let's talk about the COVID visa. Okay, the to be eligible to this visa, uh, first of all, make sure you need to meet one of these requirement. You are unable to return to home due to the COVID-19 travel restrictions. So there are a lot of countries, even though if you're not able to return your home country because of the COVID-19 travel restriction, or even though if you are in war zone in that in those particular countries, or if you have uh, any instability in your home country because of the war zone, then you can apply for this visa. Like if you are from Ukraine, you can be eligible to apply for this visa. Or else, if you can travel, if you are able to travel your home country, then you shouldn't apply for this visa. If you are on visitor visa, so technically, those who are on 485 visa or student visa or 482 visa and would like to, and if they're continuing to work in their occupations, even though if they are working critical sectors or even if they're not working critical sector, they can still able to make an applications. So the first requirement is that you must hold a valid substantive visa that will cease in 20 days or less. Even though if it is expiring in 90 days or less, still you can be eligible to make an applications. You have no other visas options available for them, or if you have evidence ongoing employment or on offer letter to remain in Australia in working in a critical sector, which includes the agriculture, food processing, healthcare, aged care, disability care, and childcare, and tourism and hospitality, or if you have a job offer to work in any other sector in Australia. So that means if you are working in critical sector, or else if you are working in any other sector, and if you would like to apply for this visa, you can be eligible to apply for this visa. If you, but you must hold the substantive visa, or your visa has been seized in the last 28 days or less, then only you can make an applications for this particular visa. If you have any questions or queries, we'll talk about we'll give you 15 to 20 minutes to discuss about, if you have any query or questions. If you are currently surplus 408 visa, can you extend it? Yes. If you are currently hold a COVID-19 pending visa and if it is about to expire, yes, you may be eligible to apply for another COVID-19 pandemic visa. So when you talk about the 408 COVID visa, there are a lot of categories are there, but this is a particular category the government has introduced. It's called COVID-19 pandemic visa, and it allows you to remain in Australia to continue work in any sector or critical sector, uh, or if you have arrived in Australia after 21st of February 2020, and if you are holding a visitor visa, but if you can able to get an offer later in a Commonwealth funded aged care, you can still eligible to apply for this visa. But after 21st February 2020, if you arrived on a visa, then you must hold a substantive visa with the work right. Again, if you arrive in Australia, for example, on student visa, but if your visa is not expiring in 90 days, within the 90 days of your visa, you cannot be eligible to apply for this visa. That means that you must hold visa and your visa must be expiring in 19 days. So if your visa is not expiring in 90 days, if your visa is got valid till next year or maybe after 2 years, then you cannot be eligible to apply for this pandemic visa. Your visa must be expiring in coming 90 days. Then only you'll be eligible to apply for these visas. Okay. And again, you must hold substantive visa with the work right. So to eligible for this particular visa, you must require the offer letter or job letter from your future company, or you must be working in their company in order to apply for this visa. What documents you need to provide for your applications? Basically, you need to provide the passport, last 6 months of bank statement if you are working in your field, employment contract if you're not working in a field, an employment contract along with the start date and the sector mentioned in that particular employment contract. If you not mention the sector, then the department may grant the visa for limited period. Then you have to make an application again. So make sure you remember that if you're applying for an application, they must mention the sector, which sector you're coming from. If you are currently working in your field, then you're required to provide the last 3 months of pay slips. They also ask you to provide the last 10 years of address history, because in case if you have lived any other country for more than 12 months, they may ask you to provide the police clearance certificate from that particular country. A reference letter if you are continuing a job, a health insurance, that means the overseas visitor health cover card. You can also go to our Get My Policy website. Then you can get the health insurance for the 408 visa as well. A recent visa grant letter which mentioned about your work right, which mentioned about your current visa expiry date and everything, and the national ID documents from your home country. So these are the documents which you require to provide when you make an applications. Make sure you also apply for the Australian Federal Police Clearance. They'll ask you to provide the AFP, where you have to select number 33 in order to apply for an applications. If you have lodged your application but a bridging visa has not been granted yet, there are a lot of applicants where we can see that their visa has got expired and they have lodged within the 20 days of their last visa expiry. You can still eligible to apply for the visa application even if your visa has got expired and you still got 28 days. Always you can still make an application for the COVID visa. In those scenario, what happens is that when you apply for an application, if your visa has got expired, the department will grant you the bridging visa C. But what happens is that if you apply an application for COVID visa, pandemic visa, the bridging visa C will take at least 5 to 10 days to grant the visa. So don't get stressed. And if you not receive your bridging visa copy notifications, please email to the major event visa processing mailbox and include your expiry date or the current visa status or your current situation. And send an email to majorevents.visaprocessing@homewest.com or .gov.au. If you send an email to them, they will definitely respond to you. In order to apply this visa, your visa has to be expired. If you hold the subsistence visa or if your visa expired within the last 20 days or less, you can make an applications. Otherwise, you cannot make an applications. Once your business visa will come into the effect, your substantive visa will cease, and you can maintain the lawful status in Australia, and you can continue to work your field, and you can continue to uh, have the lawful status in Australia. Lodge your application and want to know if it's stressed. Now, COVID-19 visa takes 11 to 12 months to grant. That's what current processing time, because they have got this visa has got high demand and there are a lot of applicants are applying applications because they wanted to buy time or they wanted to finish their work experience in order to apply for the employer sponsor visa, or maybe there are a lot of applicants who are looking to get a study rights, or maybe they want to study in their field, or they want to study in the field where they can make an application for permanent residence visa. So there are a lot of applicants who apply for this visa. So the demand has gone up. Because of the demand has gone up, the processing time has gone up. So it taking at least minimum 11 to 12 months to grant this visa. And during that time, you will be on visa A or C, depends what status you had when you apply applications. And you will have the full-time work right and the study rights in Australia. While the departments continue to process visa as efficiently as possible, focus has been on critical areas to support the Australian government response. So they are more focusing on the critical sectors where they may take a bit less time to grant the visa, but at the moment I would say that it takes 11 to 12 months to grant the visa. Make sure if you are bridging visa A, if you are at the time of lodge your application is being granted as a bridging visa, this bridging visa will only come into the effect once your previous visa expires. So that means whatever the visa you had held at the time of your making applications, your visa A will come into the effect only if your current visa get expired. Otherwise, it will not come into the effect at all. Uh, During the time on visa A, you will continue to live lawful in this country, and you can continue to check your status through the EMI portal or your respective migration agent if you are lost to the registered migration agent. Unable to obtain the medical appointment within the time frame provided. If you've been requested for the medical assessment, you are unable to obtain medical appointment within the time frame provided. You do not need to seek an extension of time. The department aware about delaying the processing time. So you need to just provide the booking dates. Due to the current pending time, they know that they're not able to get the earliest available medical test. So in case they have requested if they have requested the medical test, then and they have given 28 days, you don't need to worry about the 28 days. You just provide the your booking test, your booking medical test, and you just upload your EMI portal account. They will able to know they will able to check the dates, and they know that that's getting delayed, so they won't refuse application because of the medical test. So make sure you're aware about that one. Time frame of visa grant for both sector. Once the decision has been made, the grant of visa, it cannot be reviewed by the office. So that means in case when you while you launch an application, make sure you select the right sector, because if you are working in, for example, in hospitality as a chef, and if you are selected different occupations, then the visa will be granted on upon which sector you apply an application. So that is, make sure that you apply the right sector. Even though if you are working critical sector, you will grant the 12 months of visas. If you are not working critical sector, you will grant up to 6 months of visas. So this is one of the important part, that when you apply an applications, make sure you submit the right position, right sector. Otherwise, your visa will not grant according the time frame. So if you are working in a critical sector like the hospitality industry or aged care or disability industry or the child care, food processing, agriculture, or the any other hospitality industry, you will grant the 12 months of visas. If you're working in any other non-sector industry, non-sector critical industry, then you'll get up to 6 months of visas. Make sure you remember that you select the right sector. You want to change an employer while holding a 408 visa. I have seen a lot of applicants where they have applied an application on the base of the critical sector. I have recently asked a question that I apply applications under the critical sector, but now I change my occupation from critical to non-critical. So make sure if you have changed your occupations, or if you have changed your employer from critical to non-critical, you change your circumstances, you have to provide the form 1022. You also have to email to them, and you also have to upload that 1022 form in IMI portal along with the applications. So immigration officer come to know that, okay, you have changed your sector along with your job designations and your employer as well. So they will grant the visa according your circumstances. It's not harm at all, because when you grant your visa, they'll put 8107 condition. It's called a schedule 8107 condition. That means the person must work in the nominated occupations and with the nominated employer only, because when you grant your visa, they'll mention the sponsor name. And if you want to change it, you can't change in the visa grant copy, but you have to email them by emailing majorevents.visaprocessing@homefresh.gov.au. You're required to provide a letter of offer of new employer and their positions. Once you notify department, this auto-generated response will serve as a confirmation of your update. So that means if you have lost to the relevant registered migration agent, the notification will go to that particular relevant registered migration agent. If you have lost an application by yourself, the notification will go to your particular given email ID. Uh, the condition 8107 does not allow you to visa or to engage work inconsistent with the activities in the relation of the visa was granted. That means that if you have been granted visa for a particular sector or particular position, then you cannot work with any other employer. If you want to work with any other employer, if you want to work in two companies, then make sure you update to Department of Home Affairs. If you don't update it, then it consider that you have breached the 8107 condition, and the immigration can cancel your visa. So make sure you continue to do those things. So updating to department is it's mandatory. If you don't update it, then you'll get in big trouble if they come to know. Okay, so this is one of the important part. I'm repeating again. if you grant this visa, if you have been granted this visa, or if your application is under process and if any changes happen, make sure you fill up the form 1022, or you email to them majorevents.visaprocessing@homepage.gov.au, or you upload those 1022 form to email portal if your application is under process. If your application is not under process, you just fill up the form, you send an email to them, and they will come to know, and they'll send you the confirmation that okay, we have updated your details into our portal. Okay, so make sure you remember this one. This is a very much important part. What can I do on subclass 408 visa? Now, 408 visa is one of the, I can say it's a bonus from the government, which allow you to work full time, make eligible for subclasses like 189, 190, 491. I have seen a lot of clients in my career where the students have applied for the student visa and their temporary residence visa has been granted very quick, and they lost their time frame due to the COVID pandemic visa, and they have applied for 408 visa. And once they apply for 08 visa, they can be eligible to apply for 189, 190, 491, because during the pandemic time there were no IELTS tests or PT tests, and they had no job stability, and could not able to make their permanent pathway at all. So now they can move around states and they can make an eligibility, because they get a full-time work right and everything. So yeah, this is one of the good bonuses for you. You can make an eligibility to apply for 189, 190, 490. If you have less time to be eligible for subclasses 482 or 16, for example, in hospital industry, if you are a chef and if you've got a 1 year of experience after completing your study, and your employer is happy to sponsor you for 482, then if you apply for this visa, it takes 12 months to grant. Then another 1 year of visa you can grant, so you can be eligible to apply for 1600 direct and being a chef. Or in case if you have got 1 year of experience, if you want to go for 482 visa, you can also be eligible to apply for this visa. You can get more times, and you can get eligible. You can be eligible to apply for these 482 visas as well. Those students who have no skill assessment to apply for permanent residence visa and want to study in any trade courses or any other sectors, they can allow to study as well full time, also class 408, and meanwhile they can also allow to work full time. Now, make sure you check it. If you want to go for master's study, some universities don't allow you to study on subclass 408 visa, so you have to go for the student visa pathway. But if you want to go for trade courses or any other advanced diploma courses, and you want to make your eligibility to apply for permanent residence visa, then subclass 408 visa is one of the best pathway. Even if you're on business visa A or subclass 408 visa, you can apply for business visa B to travel overseas as well. So then nowadays they are also granting the business visa B, and you can also allow to travel on business visa B. But if you're on business visa C, then you're not going to get the business visa B, and you cannot travel unless your 408 visa is granted. And even though if your 408 pandemic visa is granted, you can still allow to leave the country. You're allowed to come back until your visa is expired. So basically, you can use the time to make yourself to be eligible for permanent residence pathway. Make sure you use this time wisely, and either you can study to get permanent residence visa pathway. You can buy time, to work more extra, more work extra months to get eligible for 482 or 16 or 189, 190 or 491 pathway. So it's one of the great visa to use the time in wisely manner. Any questions? If you have any questions to ask. Okay, can we travel overseas on COVID visa? If you have been granted COVID visa, yes, you can travel on COVID visa. Currently, you can travel on COVID visa. You don't need to worry about it, because make sure you check the expiry date. You can travel on COVID visa, and you must come back before your visa expires. So yeah, you can travel it. Even though if you have applied the COVID visa and if you got the business visa A, you can apply for business visa B, and you can also leave the country. You can also come back as well. Can we change job after 40 visa is granted? Yes, does. You can also change your employer if you have granted 408 visa, but make sure you remember it. You send an email to major events and you upload that 1022 circumstances change form along with your new offer letter and the sector to Department of Home Affairs, and they will send you the auto generated email to you, your communicated email ID, and then they will update into the system. But you will not able to get changes in your visa grant copy. So you just get the confirmation from Department of Office. That is what you will get only. I'm working in hospital sector as a hospital sector, but as a painter. That's a bit tricky, Karanveer. I don't think so. You working as a painter in hospitality sector, but if you're working as a painter, then you may be able to grant 6 months of visas. You can have partial job in hospitality in hotel for as a painter, but it does not consider as a hospitality sector. So in hospitality sector, if you are working as a baker, if you are working as a cook, a waiter, or restaurant manager, these are considered as a hospitality sector, not as a painter. The painter comes in a non-critical, but you'll grant for 6 months of visas. Somalia, move to core visa from student visa. So do I get a full-time work right? If you move from core visa to student visa, at the moment the government is allowing you to work full-time on student visa. But if you have enrolled in a course, you cannot allow to work full-time on student visa business visa A as well. So in case if you have business visa A or student visa, if you enroll in any courses, they're not allowed to work full-time, but a lot of student does that. But technically you're not allowed to work full-time at all. Can we apply for 408 visa on second time? Yes, Vilda, you can apply for 408 visa second time as well. If you are working in critical or non-critical sector, you can do it. That's not a big deal. Would 408 visa exist next year? That is a big tricky question for me because I'm not sure whether they're going to continue this 408 visa for in future as well or not. As per current situation, they require a lot of labor force to work in this country, and because of the skill shortages in this country, I think looks like they may extend till next year, but we still not have any official update from Department of Home Affairs. But at the moment, yes, you can lodge an applications. Karan, I'm on 4-5 visa. I'm outside of Australia in December. Can I apply COVID visa from offshore? No, it's only onshore visas. You cannot apply an application COVID visa from offshore at all. As I'm being granted for 4-0 visa yet, I am on bridging visa A. Will able to apply for bridging visa B? Yes, as I said to you and mentioned during my session, if you have been granted bridging visa A, you can apply for bridging visa B. You can leave the country. You can also come back. We had a lot of clients and they apply bridging visa B and they left the country and they came back on bridging visa B as well. So you can do it. Bessie, if I'm working on critical sectors, can I apply for 408? Does it have to be the last sort of visa? If you're working critical sector, it's one of the great visas. You can apply for 408 visa and you can continue to work in the critical sector and then you can make an eligibility for permanent residence pathway as well. So yeah, you can do it. Maria, if if COVID visa is granted and then expire in 1 year, have no other visa options, should we then leave the Australia? No, COVID visa, if you get the no further stay condition, 8503 condition, then only you're not allowed to apply for any other visas while you're in Australia. You have to leave the country. But I haven't seen any condition I haven't seen any condition that they are putting on this visa. But yes, again, we not guarantee about that one. But yeah, you can still you don't need to leave the country if you have no further stay condition. You can still apply for any other visa if you have no further stay condition. If you don't have any no further stay condition, that means if you don't have any no further stay condition, you can still apply for it. And we have seen a lot of clients who have applied for the second time the COVID visa as well. And I have seen a lot of clients who applied the student visa after granting the 408 visa as well. So even though if the 408 visa is granted, you can still eligible to apply for the student visa or any other visa in Australia if you not uh, if you do not have any conditions, okay, like no further stay. Can we apply for COVID visa if you are on bridging visa and my student visa is already expired? Can we apply for COVID visa if you are on bridging visa and my student visa is already expired? By working in aged care, maybe no, you cannot apply for the COVID visa if you're you must hold any substantive visa or the last substantive visa expire in 28 days or less, then only you can apply for this visa. If your visas was expire in January, for example, Jan 2022 this year, in 30th of Jan, for example, you cannot be eligible because you're not holding the substantive visa and your last substantive visa was if your last substantive visa expired in last 28 days, then only you can be eligible to apply for the core visa. You cannot apply for the core visa on bridging visa A if you do not hold the substantive visa or in last 28 days. Okay. uh Karen, are payslips or reference letter enough to for critical or to show the employment contract? See, if you have the reference letter and payslip, that these are the enough documents, but I would suggest get the employment contract as well if you can get it. Otherwise, that's fine. you can still apply an application on the basis of the pay stubs and reference letter, but make sure they mention the in reference letter they mention that the sectors and your position to apply for the COVID visa. Okay. Any other questions? If you have, let me know. Um, Thank you very much, guys, for joining this session. And please, if you have any query questions, you can join our next session as well for the PT. Uh, we got more questions. Just to make sure, please, if I'm eligible for other visas option, but I'm working in legal sector, can I still apply for zero visa if I'm eligible for other visa options, but I'm working? Yeah, you can still apply for the 408 visa, but if you are eligible for other visa option, like if you are eligible to apply for the employer sponsor visa or the permanent residence visa, then obviously you should apply for those visa because those are the permanent category. 408 is just temporary visa which allow you to live in this country for certain period and allow you to make the eligibility for the visas. Uh, Saurabh, is medical check is compulsory? Yes, they will definitely ask you to provide the medical test. So, yep, it is mandatory to provide it. We have the upcoming events, which is a parents visa, long-term tourist visa, and the 485 visa extension, and their pathway and recent replacement changes visa as well. So, guys, if you have those, if you are carrying those kind of categories, so please join the next session. We have two more questions coming up. Urge saying is account is in critical sector. No, it's accounting is not critical sector unless if you are working in health sector as an accountant. For example, if you are working in aged care as an accountant, then it will be considered as a critical sector. But if you are working, for example, in a hospital as an accountant, then only it considered as a critical sector. Otherwise, if you are working normal accountant, then it will not consider as a critical sector. It will consider as a non-critical sector. How can I assess the recording of previous session? You can check through the one of our team members. They usually upload this session over the YouTube. You can get those information through the YouTube as well. Can I wait till they email me to do medical check? Yes, you can wait till they will email you to for the medical check. You can wait for that one. Working supermarket doesn't come in critical sector. Nah, supermarket is just normal job. It does not come into the critical sector unless if you are working for the processing center in food processing center, then also it will consider as a critical sector. But in supermarket, if you are working as a baker, then it considers a critical sector again because it comes under the hospitality because baker is part of the hospitality industry. A person's work as an accountant and accounting for no, then accounting for that service hospital only. No, but if you are working in accounting for firm, then it does not consider as a critical sector. So if you are working in hospital as an accountant, then only it will consider as a critical sector because your pay is coming from directly through the hospital. Then only it will consider as an critical sector. Otherwise, it will not consider as a critical sector. After applying 408 visa, sorry, we have Gurpinder. Sorry, I missed that question. If we have no job, can I still apply for 408? No, you require a job offer letter, and yeah, then only you're eligible to apply for 408 visa. But Gurpinder, if you're on visitor visa and if you arrived after 21st February 2022 this year, then you require the job letter from the government funded aged care only. Then only you'll be eligible to apply for 408 visa, otherwise not. And again, 408 visa is allow you to stay in this country and allow you to work in this country if you have a job. Otherwise, no, it not allow you to work and not allowed to make applications. After applying, Ruchita saying after applying 408 visa, what are the chances of getting a PR? That depends on your eligibility. That you have to talk to your registered migration agent about your eligibility, and then yes, if you have making an eligibility, then obviously you will definitely get PR. Otherwise, if you're not making an eligibility, then start to make an eligibility for that permanent residence pathway. Saurabh saying, if I started studying a course on 408 visa, course is longer than visa period, what next option? Obviously, in case if the 408 visa is no exist, in future time, then you can go for the student visa in case if you have the if you remain your course study. For example, if you have 2 years of course study and if your visa is if you granted 408 visa for only 1 year, and then again you can go for the student visa or pandemic visa. If the pandemic visa is exist, you can still eligible to apply for the student visa extension. Thank you very much, guys, for joining this session. Hope you enjoyed to having this session. If you have any query question, you can book your appointment to your nearest Aussizz Group office, and our register migration will agent will able to help you for the further queries and questions. Thank you very much for joining session. Have a great weekend, guys. Have a nice day. Bye.